So from the outside, you look at Hafnia and the story, and today, of course, we'll come back to the market sentiment, and it's been a great ride over the last years, but you have the inside perspective, so you actually know what were the biggest, inflection points or the biggest milestones that send you off in this direction. Looking back on the story up to date, what do you think are the biggest, milestones that made this journey so good?
So I think it was one that we were patient, and I think this was important. So we, as I said before, we were forced to be patient, and that meant that we didn't overspend or buy at the wrong time. So I think one is that we've been very good at doing deals and transactions at bottom levels of the cycle. Second one is that we have been disciplined in our capital allocation. So we didn't create Hafnia to make a lot of money in 3 years. We created Hafnia to create a business that will last for 100 years. So everything we did was always with a focus on, if we are wrong about where markets are going, can we still survive at a lowest point of the cycle? So we kind of turned it all around, where most of our competition in those days were all fired up because everyone thought the market was going to come in 2 years' time, and was gearing up their balance sheet to get the maximum output out of a super cycle. And 9 out of 10 dropped out because of that. So it's a downside protection that was an inflection point for us to continue to weather that markets didn't go as we expected. And then I think the other one was really around trying to be flexible in the way that we looked at transactions. So we didn't lock ourselves in and say we should only buy vessels like this or only buy new builds. We looked at M&A transactions, other combinations. So it was a diversified portfolio in terms of how we did transactions. So I think this was a good part of it, and the inflection point for us was really when we managed to buy a fleet from Danish Lauritzen that wanted to exit the product tanker space. We had an investor called Blackstone that owned an amount of ships that they didn't have a home for, and they came to us. So we basically put together a package where we bought 12 second-hand ships. From Blackstone we brought in, gave them Hafnia shares, and ordered a bunch of new builds at GSI in China, packaged it all together, went on the road, raised $235 million across the world, came back, and basically lifted all these approvals in one go. So we went from small company to suddenly adding 20 odd ships overnight. That was a massive inflection point and allowed us to come to Oslo and do the OTC listing, and then subsequently, the full listing.
It's fascinating because you say that you have the benefit of being able to be flexible. Because I can just imagine, I don't know the company in detail, but if you take Maersk, for instance, sometimes, you become so big that being, nimble and flexible doesn't make sense because it's so large, Is that also true that when you're starting a new company, the advantage is that, like you said, you can be flexible, look at different things, be a bit unconventional?
I think for sure that helps when you're building, but I think also, during the journey, there comes a point where actually scale becomes important, because the thing is about our markets, at least compared to Maersk. So Maersk is a container business, which is like more A to B, right? And it's more logistic, if you like, business than it's shipping. We have vessels that basically every day are looking for employment. So if you think about it in that context, if you operate 220 ships all around the world, the market intelligence you get from having all these ships allows you to position ships better. Yeah. So at some point, it's great to be small and agile when you grow, but scale actually has a different value in that combination.